disturb me, but no one bed today. We know the Mogbomoya today.
I'm supposed to be in one bed today too, but I just have to be in class. Tomorrow I have somewhere I'm going to, so I cannot fix it tomorrow.
Okay, sir. All right,
That's why
sir.
we cannot have class. Where are others?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Ogami. Your boy is lawyer, sir. How's it going now?
Going by familiar, sir. Yes, yes, sir.
Ah, your voice is a bit low. Or is it from my hand? Okay. Can you hear me loud? Am I loud enough? Am I audible?
Good evening, sir.
Okay. Good evening, bro. How's your weekend going? So can somebody
Fine, sir.
can you okay. Can somebody give us a recap of our last class? Most importantly, on the fishbone analysis. Can somebody describe it for me? Let's do that before 2:20. We have 4 minutes to have our recap and start the class proper. So anybody? Hello? Am I alone here? Hello, can you hear me? It's like my network is bad. Like these guys cannot hear me. Hello?
Hello,
Hi.
sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Gloria. It's like you're in a party. I'm dancing already.
No, sir. I'm on the road.
Okay, okay. No problem. Please, you can mute your mic. Okay, Shagun, James, what's up? I said I need somebody to give me a recap of what we did last week so that we can start proper. Victory,
Hello, sir.
Abdurrahman, Shagun, James, Gloria, Joseph. Say something. Or
Hello,
last
sir.
class was a waste. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, my Oga.
Aiba Oga. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So for last week, we looked at incident reporting and investigation, and you
Okay.
gave us you gave us some tips of what an accident is. What an accident is. We looked at the difference between accident and incident. We looked at the evidence. We looked at unsafe hours, unsafe conditions, and then you did emphasize on how to report incident and why do we report incident. And you threw more light on the fishbone analysis, which we use to get the root cause of an incident. Okay, so those are basically what we talked about last week, and also
Okay.
the use of the 5 why analysis as well.
Okay. Can you tell me how we use the fishbone analysis? Can you put me through the fishbone? Please teach me. I don't. I need to learn from you guys.
Okay, so the
The
fishbone
fishbone
analysis
analysis works.
is categorized into um, six.
Are
Okay, into
we
six. We
listening?
have
Can we all hear
people.
him? Can we all hear him?
Yes, sir. Sorry, my
Okay.
network was having issues.
Okay. Just go on.
Okay, so
Sorry
it's
for the
category
break.
is the no problem, sir. The fishbone is categorized into 6 elements where we have, just like you explained that day, just like the bone of a fish, but it's been spread across. So we have people, we have equipment, we have methods, we have environment, we also have materials and then management. So each of these each of these element or categories we mentioned are factors that could lead to an incident. For instance, if something happened, like the assignment I did, I shared an experience of a collision, an experience of a truck collision with a loader. So we looked at the person factor, which is under the people. And one of the reasons is that probably the person was not trained, he was not properly skilled. Then we looked at the equipment. Was the equipment in good condition? Was it maintained properly? We looked at method. What's the method on ground for loading operations? Environment. Was the environment conducive for them to work? Was it cloudy? Was there poor illumination? And then we looked at the management. What set down rules or policies were in place for such kind of operations, like the SOPs for loading trucks. So those are some of the categories we could look at while analyzing or using the fishbone to do a root cause analysis for incidents.
Amazing. So what's the root cause analysis for the incident that happened?
Okay, so we discovered that first of all, the management was it was basically on the management because there were no set down um, principles or procedures in such areas, and some things were missing, like the operator was not fully trained. And one other factor too was, I think, environmental factors as well that led, because there were no barriers, there are no proper safety signs, no barriers to guard against such kind of acts within the loading site. Thank you, sir.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Please, anybody wants to Victory, your hands are up. Please go ahead.
Yeah, okay, sir. Yes, he has pretty much said most of the things we learned last week. The other things to add, we also said that it's very important we ask the 5 whys when we are trying to find the root cause of any particular incident whatsoever. So it's very important we ask the 5 whys, because that 5 whys that would make us to know what exactly caused, or what's the root cause of the whole issue. Then you extensively explained incident and an accident. So you, according to what I more like understood last week, was that incident is more like, it's like an unplanned event in general. Like it could lead to harm, it might not lead to harm, but it's just like the unplanned event in general. Why an accident is an incident that causes harm or damage. So if I'm not correct, this correct me now so that I can fully understand that part. So again, I'll say that according to what I understood, that incident is like an unplanned event in general, just like it could cause harm, it could not cause harm, but just unplanned event in general. Then accident is an incident that causes harm or damage. Then it is a law that you must report any incidents, preliminary reports of the incident, that you don't tamper with the evidences and all. Then the reporting process, to explain the reporting process, that first of all you have to notice the incident, ensure that the area is extra safe, then report the issue to the supervisor, workplace safer for everyone. So yes, we also had examples, as my fellow mentee explained. We had the fishbone diagram we actually used to find the root cause for a particular scenario about a worker that slipped. So what happened? We dealt about over purifying the oil that caused them oil spillage and caused the worker to spill. Then we talk about the people we all contributed manhandling of the machine, not properly trained, not following the proper schedule, not following the standard, not following the standard operation of procedure. Then we also talked about on the aspect of equipment and or machine. We also talked about malfunctioning of the machine, old machine, and the likes. Then for method or process, yes, we all contributed. No SOP, no preventive maintenance plan, and the likes. And for environments, we all contributed on saying no cooling medium, no proper waste management, and you also categorize that as under housekeeping. That's those environments and housekeeping. The materials, substandard materials, wrong spare parts, or worn out parts, and the likes. Then for management, no inspection policy and cutting budgets. They will be subsidizing a lot of things and can cause some issues to erupt. So the root cause we finalized on last week was lack of preventive maintenance system. And we all recommended that proper training should occur. Then good handing over policy. I mean, more like follow up each time one wants to hand over, should proper handing over of tasks should be done. Then even in my assignment, I included a automatic shutdown system that once the purifying processor is completed, that the recommended 8 hours is completed, there should be like an automatic shutdown of the purifying process so that it doesn't over purify and then make the oil thin. Thank you. That's what I could cover. Yes, I'm done.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very, very good breakdown. Very, very good one. Thank you, guys. So, today we'll be going to our next class, which is the emergency response and fire safety. Is that what we have in our outline for today? Is that what we have in our outline for today? I want to know if you guys are all looking at the outline. No comments. Okay. So emergency response and fire safety.
Yes,
So
sir.
very
Yes, sir.
quickly.
Can you hear me, sir?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay. Am I audible enough?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
It's what we have
Okay.
on the outline.
Okay. Exactly. I just want to know the essence I sent the outline before now is so that we can all some of us might want to like read before the class and understand what at least so that we can all flow together. And also like we might want to do our personal researches, you might want to ask questions before the class continues and all of that. So we are speaking on emergency response and fire safety. So what do we understand by emergency? What do you understand by emergency?
Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so emergency is it could be an accident or any situation that requires immediate response or immediate attention to.
That is correct. Any other person wants to try? That's correct. Another person.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. An emergency always it's always an unexpected situation that poses risks to either health of personnel, um, life-threatening, property damage, or even environmental destruction as well. This could be fire outbreak, it could be a medical case, it could also be chemical spill or natural disaster as well. So they're all likely to be emergency situations. Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's also correct. Thank you for that. That's a little bit detailed. Any other person before I proceed?
Okay, to just like simply put, emergencies are like unexpected event that requires immediate response to that situation.
Okay, that's perfect. There's something similar with to our definitions. Somebody used the word unexpected, somebody used the word sudden, and all of that. So you all are correct. So I would define emergency as any sudden, are we together? Any sudden, unexpected event that threatens people. In safety, we are after the safety of people, the property, and the environment. So anything that happens suddenly is an emergency. An emergency is any sudden, unexpected event that threatens people, property, or the environment. Anything that threatens it, any sudden thing that can threaten our property, that can threaten the health of the people, that can threaten the environment is an emergency. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, and when these sudden things happen, what happens? It can cause panic. It can cause confusion. It can cause for confusion, and it can even cause serious harm to people. So now we now define emergency as any sudden, unexpected event that threatens people, property, or the environment. Emergency can cause panic, confusion, and any serious harm if we did not manage it properly. If we don't manage that sudden thing that happened, if we don't manage it, it can cause serious harm. So now, what do we know as do we have any example? What do you like? We've defined emergency as something sudden. What is an example? What can you say is an example? Can you just tell me one thing that has happened that you feel that thing is called emergency? Like give an example of what you can call an emergency situation. Any example? What you know that you when this thing happened and this thing is an emergency.
For example, a fire outbreak probably during work activities.
Okay, fine. That's correct. Any other person?
An oil spill,
And
sir.
also, sir, who is
Okay,
the-
that's also good, James. Thanks. Go ahead. You wanted to say something?
okay, and also chemical spill during laboratory work. Probably they're working in a laboratory and the chemical spill on the person's body. That's the case of an emergency.
Okay,
Also, explosion pressurize the vessels. Could also have
amazing.
security threats as well.
Yes, yes, very correct. That's also correct. Anybody wants to chip in something?
Emergencies. This might not really be related to like work stuff, but emergencies in general, someone pass out is an emergency. It needs, that's when we have to do CPR and the likes, or first person to the nearest hospital, or
Okay, that's also correct. Like we have defined it as something unexpected, an unexpected situation that threatens life. When you mentioned like somebody had an accident or probably they need to do CPR, there's a threat to life there, right? When there's a fire outbreak, there's a threat to both the life and property and even environment, isn't it? So these are emergencies. So let me be the one to clap for you guys.
oh,
Okay, so as we proceed, emergency is any sudden unexpected event that threatens people, property, or the environment. When these things happen, it can cause panic. it can cause confusion, and it can cause serious harm if we do not manage it properly. When there's a fire outbreak, if we do not respond to a fire outbreak immediately, what happens? It will destroy not just the immediate property, it destroys everything that comes to its path, everything around. It can become so catastrophic that it is beyond the room that the fire outbreak starts. So that means that when there's an emergency, there also has to be what we call emergency response, isn't it? Because when there's an emergency, we need to respond to emergency. The way we respond to the emergency will now determine how severe, how damaging the emergency can be. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now that you all have known that these things that you list out, fire outbreak, gas leak, explosion, chemical spill, natural disaster, they are emergency. Now that we all know that there is these are emergency, it means that these things can happen. That means we need to, what makes us different is that we need to know that we need to plan, we need to have an emergency response plan. We need to be ready for these things. You see that by being ready means that we need to create a system that we use to um to protect, to prevent it from happening in the first place. And if by the end, if the system fails and it happens, how to mitigate it or reduce the effect. You see, right? So now the first thing we have tried to do is to make sure that we prevent it from happening. But things go bad, it happens. How do we respond to it? That's an emergency response. So that means we need an emergency response plan and a strong fire safety system. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll list again examples of our workplace emergencies. It's here in the slide as you can see, and we all have listed it. But for those that maybe some things that you might be omitting, we have fire outbreak. Where can we have fire outbreak? We can have a fire outbreak in our houses. We can have fire outbreak in the warehouse. We can even have fire outbreak in the workplace. Anywhere there can be fire outbreak. Where can we have gas leak? There can be gas leak in workshop, like the welding workshop. They use acetylene. So if those acetylene is leaking, what can happen? It can also lead to fire outbreak. If that gas leak is not managed very well and there's an ignition source, what happens? Boom, you have a fire outbreak from gas leak. If the fire outbreak, if the gas leak is not managed, it can cause explosion, isn't it? Let's say doing those that are doing mining operation, this the head core contains gas too. Where many of us in the oil and gas, we know that just the way crude oil is found underneath, there are also gases. So that means if it is not managed and they are not expecting, like they do not plan that there will be gases inside the earth crust, and they probably use a wrong tool and mistakenly strike a field that contains a lot of gas, what happens? There's an explosion, isn't it? So from there we can have an explosion. Chemical spill in the laboratory, very correct. Somebody mentioned that. Natural disaster, they say you cannot prevent natural disaster, you cannot prevent some things, but what you can manage how you react to those disaster that happens. In example, you cannot prevent rain from happening. So, and that rain can lead to flood. So you can prevent it by making sure that you are not building on a drainage, or probably creating a drainage so that there can be water flow. These are ways whereby we practice emergency response. We have it in our day-to-day life. We have it in our society. It may not just be so robust. You see that doing when people wants to build house, even somebody that didn't go to school, they try to look at who the place they are building, trying to make sure that during rainy season, it's not a place whereby there will be flood. These are part of plan. They are planning for the future. So all these things, so formally and making it thorough, that's when we now have what we call the emergency response plan. I hope that is understood.
Yes, sir, it is.
Exactly. So emergencies are unpredictable. Like I said, but we can prepare for emergency. And when we prepare, what happens when we prepare? It helps us to reduce their impact. Some emergency, we do not have a say on it. What we can do is how we react to it. So we can, when we plan very well, we will reduce the impact. So that takes us to, what is an emergency plan? Can you tell me what do you understand by emergency response plan? Anybody? Emergency response plan.
Okay. Emergency response plans are like the okay. So emergency response plans are like the necessary step or guidelines for each particular unexpected situations. Like, what are your, I don't want to use the word plan again. What are the steps that you take to manage or handle that particular unexpected situation? And how to, yeah.
That's fine. That's also that's a
Also,
good one. Any other person?
emergency response are procedures that have been put in place to facilitate swift response or swift action during any case of emergency, like in the case of fire outbreak. The procedures that will enable this fire to not escalate and to prevent further complications. Thank
That's that's awesome. Any other person?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
I would say emergency response plan is the documented plan or procedures and protocols to be followed just in case of an emergency to minimize harm and risk, and also ensure effective response and also protect property and environment as well. Thank you, sir.
Okay. That's a very, 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 very wonderful addition from all of you. Emergency response plan, plan that we planned to for emergency, blah blah blah. That's good. But I will take you need to take this from me. Not everything you see on the slide. An emergency response plan. In HSE, what would we make sure that we have a document for everything we are doing? Everything has to be documented. It doesn't have, it's not something anybody can tell me, can say that we have an emergency response plan. Where is a documented procedure for it? An emergency response plan is a written document that explains what to do, how to do it, and who will do it in case of emergency. Should I go again?
Yes,
An
please.
emergency response plan. An emergency response plan is a written document that explains what to do, how to do it, and who will do it in case of an emergency. So in simple terms, it is like the game plan that we have for protecting our people, or maybe in the industry, in the workplace, for protecting property, and also for protecting the environment. It's like a plan. It's like the game plan, what we have that process. You are going to do this. This is the person that is to do, and this is how you are going to do this, and this is who will do this in case something like this happen. That's an emergency response plan. And the purpose of emergency response plan is what? Why do we put all these things in place? First is to save life, to reduce injury and damage, to ensure quick organized response. Because when we have a plan that you are to do this, this is what you should do. This is what to be done by everybody. This is you as a worker. Let me give an example. You are in a facility. When they are doing an induction, first thing, one of the things we make sure that we put in our induction when we are inducting people into a new facility, let's say as a stranger, as a worker, as a worker, or let's say as a visitor on the site, they tell you this is the emergency exit. Have you ever been, you've gone for an excursion, you've been to a plant, and one of the things they do is induct you, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And
See,
during the
Yes,
sir.
sir.
induction, one of the things they tell you is that this is the exit and this is the muster point. Have you ever come across something like that? That they tell you this is the muster point, this is the exit when you are coming into the facility for the first time.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So it means that even you as a visitor, when you visit the facility, they've told you this is the muster point, this is the exit door. What they are telling you is that, and they've told you that when you hear an alarm, you go there straight to the muster point, following a defined route. Probably they will tell you follow the ladder and don't use the lift. So they have told you, you as a person in that facility, you now know what to do, isn't it? So that is also part of the plan, making sure everybody knows what they have to do in their own way. So those that are the responder when there's an emergency, they already know how they are going to respond to that emergency. You as the worker that you are not an emergency responder, what you have to do for them is to move directly to the muster point following the staircase. They will tell you don't use the lift during in the case of emergency. So this explain our definition of emergency response plan being what to do, how to do it, and who will do it in the case of emergency. And if everybody do these things and follow the defined plan, will it will help us to save life. And even if there's going to be an injury, maybe they are trying to lift somebody, everybody already know the normal route that they will follow, the ladder, the staircase that they are going to follow. And if they are bringing somebody, they will not jam, they will not hit, there will be no collision because there's a path for going out, there's paths for coming in. These are plans. Probably they are trying to lift somebody, and when there's a collision, everybody is just running together. What happens? There will be collision, and before you know, people will even get injured the more. So if there's no plan, what will happen? There will be more injuries. So if there's a plan, there will be what? A reduced injury. If there is no plan, we will not be able to save people's life because they will not know what to do when there's an emergency. But if we put an emergency plan, they will be able to save their life, isn't it? And the firefighters can also quickly come in and they have a route that they are going to follow that the people have already, all the persons, when they heard the fire alarm, they've gone to the muster point. The firefighters will now be sure that they can now easily find a way through and probably secure the property and clean. So from there, we've been able to save life, we've been able to reduce injuries, we've been able to protect property and also the environment. And when you are everybody has a plan, they've told you that when there is a fire alarm, just go straight to the muster point, follow this thing, don't rush. So what you have done is that you have reduced panic and confusion. When there's no part of sounding a fire alarm is a part of your emergency response plan. When you hear a fire alarm, what you have done is that when you hear an alarm, it has told you that you know that you have to go to the muster point. So there will be no confusion. You already know that when there's an alarm, this is where you are going to. What has happened is that I've been able to reduce panic and confusion. And also, having an emergency response plan is a legal requirement. You have a facility, people, there's no emergency response plan. So when there's a fire outbreak, when there's a disaster, there's nobody knows what to do. Everybody will be collide and you can kill people. Or when there's a spillage or the spill just go directly into the environment, into the water bodies. Part of your emergency response plan is that when you have a tank farm, you create it in such a way by there you see that in some industries, so many places they have what we call the sump pit, whereby when there's a spill, the spill goes first into the sump pit. It is when the sump pit gets filled and overfilled, like it is very big, overfilled, and that is when you get to see it spill over into the environment. So before the spillage that goes into the sump pit spill into the environment, you'll be able to know, okay, there's a spillage and probably contain it before it goes into the environment and probably affect the water bodies and the like. So these are part of emergency response plan. These are things that you put into your emergency response plan. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
So there are three key elements to an emergency response plan. What is the emergency scenario? Is it a fire outbreak? Is it an explosion? Is it a chemical spill? Is it a gas leak? Is it a medical emergency? Did somebody slum? Or is it a natural disaster? That's the first thing. When any of this happen, when there's a fire outbreak, when there's an explosion, when there's a chemical spill, when there's a gas leak, medical emergency, and natural disaster, who plays these roles and whose responsibility is to do the other to do who plays a role and whose responsibility? Who raises the alarm? Everybody knows that, okay, they have an emergency plan. Everybody working in the facility has been taught that when you see a fire outbreak, you raise an alarm. So it is now everybody's responsibility when there's a fire outbreak to raise an alarm. Or probably when you have a control room, it is those in the control room to probably sound the general alarm and speak to everybody through probably an audio channel whereby everybody can hear wherever you are in the facility. These are part of the plan. So now it means that you are inside an emergency plan. For each emergency, there are roles and responsibility. And those roles and responsibility will break it down to who raises the alarm, who calls the fire ambulance, who calls the fire service. If it is somebody is dying, who calls the ambulance, who helps the people with disability. Let's say in your facility, you have some persons that have disability. They are more vulnerable in that situation. How do you plan for them too when there's a fire outbreak, when there's when there's a natural disaster that is prone to wherever you are working? So is there a communication system in place? Is there an alarm? Is there a siren? Is there a radio? Do you have a public address system? Do you even have an emergency number that you call? Probably when there's a medical condition, when there's a fire outbreak. Also, what is your evacuation procedure? What is your evacuation procedure? What is the step-by-step process to leave the facility? When you hear this alarm, what's the procedure? Have you taught the people? Teach them, let them know, let everybody. And also that's why you see that I don't know if you have ever been to a facility and you see that they are having an emergency drill, a drill whereby um they just raise an alarm, next thing everybody's on. Then later they told you guys that it's just a drill. After everybody, they want to see how you guys respond to that emergency. So these are things that we put in place in an emergency response plan. Is that understood? Please ask question if you is that understood?
It's understood.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay. So, like I've said earlier, the element of an emergency plan, make sure there are clear roles and responsibility. Make sure you have an alarm and communication system. Let's say we are the professionals for a facility. You want to have an emergency plan. These are the things you have to look out for. Are you seeing this slide? Make sure you have clear roles and responsibility. Make sure there's an alarm and communication system. There's a muster point, and your muster point should be safe for all of them to gather. What is the evacuation procedure? Who does this? Who does that? What are the emergency equipment? If there's a fire outbreak, do you even have a fire extinguisher? And when somebody is dying, when somebody have an injury, is there a first aid kit? Have you trained them? And how often do you do drill? All these things are the things you put in place. This is how you draft your emergency plan. When you are drafting it, put these 6 things into considerations. So that is on emergency plan. So can somebody explain? I want us to explain this element of an emergency plan. We have six. We are six. We pick two and re-explain. I want to see if you understand. What do you understand by how do you make sure you create how do you make sure you create a clear roles and responsibility? And what do you understand? How do you make sure your muster point is safe? How do you even your muster point is a safe place to gather when there's an emergency. So
Hello,
who's
sir.
going first? Yes, please
Okay,
go
let
ahead,
me.
sir.
Okay, sir. So I'll try and make it very brief because of time and for others. For clear roles and responsibilities, it simply means that you will have to, after you already have your members, you have your ERT emergency response team. You have to clearly state what role each person is supposed to play, and that they know their role very, very well. Then for muster point, safe gathering area, we have to ensure that our muster point is very visible, it's not hidden, and there are no obstructions. Most times, probably somebody is going to park car within a muster point. That's not a good practice. We must ensure that the muster points are clear, they are off obstructions, they are very visible, and the signages are very clear. Okay, for emergency equipment, fire extinguishers, first aid kits, we have to also make sure we do regular checks, inspections, check the fire extinguishers. Are their seals okay? Are the pins okay? Are they fully charged? Are they due for service? Are they properly kept in the right place? Are people aware of how to use the fire extinguishers? Same applies to the first aid kits. The first aid kits, are they all complete? Does people know how to use those first aid equipment, and how accessible are the first aid boxes as well? Alarm and communication system. After, okay, one other thing is ensuring that your emergency procedures are plainly explained and communicated to everybody on site, same as your visitors, the contractors, new employees during inductions or onboarding sessions, and your alarm systems. Once in a while, we do test running. That's where the drills come in. You do drills to do a test run of the systems if the alarms or the communication systems are functional. And there's this checks by either the third party that did the installation to consistently check the systems. For example, detectors. Some companies use batteries, some don't use batteries. So there has to be a check in place to constantly go to check if the detectors are still intact and all of those stuff. Then evacuation procedures, just like you said earlier, list you have to make the procedures very clear to everybody to understand. Place it at designated areas where people can easily go through. They can see. Most times, it can be given to them via handbooks or could be placed within the entrances of the organizations, in the offices, sent as emails, even review during drills. Training and drills is one of the major parts for emergency planning, which means that on a constant basis, it could be monthly, it could be bi-weekly. You're doing your trainings for the first aiders, the fire marshals, ensuring that everybody is aware of their duty. Everybody is always on the go for any emergency that would occur. So training and drills is very, very key for emergency plan. Thank you, sir.
That's very, very awesome. I think that's well explained. I wanted to be sure we understood what I just explained. I like to, our classes are always practical. I like to hear from you when I tell you when I teach. I hear back from you. Let me say if we, so that I'm not moving faster than you guys. So any other person wants to try before we move on to the next, I want us to have a practical session on this. We want to set up an emergency response plan for our factory. So before we proceed, any other person? Just 1 minute.
Okay, for clear roles and responsibilities, this is more like the tasks that are being assigned to different departments or different individuals of the company, as far as their roles and their responsibility are clearly stated. What are their roles in this particular fire outbreak? Okay, fire outbreak, you are in charge of using the fire extinguisher, or you, in case of any burn, you are in charge of handling the patient, you, and ensure that any other person is not interfering with another person's role so as to not cause confusion and disruption or further chaos during the course of that emergency. The muster point and gathering area. So ensure that this particular safe zones are, those zones are safe enough and fully protects the public or protects individuals from these particular emergencies. Then the emergency equipment, just like our fellow mentee said, ensure that this particular equipment are regularly checked to ensure that they will be fit for use in the case of emergencies, like the fire extinguisher, to ensure that the pin is in place, ensure that it has not expired, to ensure that it's not even used up. And in case if there's any need for replacement, proper replacement are done so as we will not be caught unaware. Then for alarms and communication system, you cited an example of fire alarm, and ensure that everybody knows that, okay, this alarm, once this alarm goes off, it means it's a fire outbreak. So everybody knows that, oh, it's a fire outbreak, and everybody proceeds to do whatever they needed to do during the course of that emergency. So proper communication system to ensure that the medium at which you communicate to the individuals are in place, so as they get to, and they are aware that that is in place, so that in case of any emergencies and you are conveying that communication, they will know what it means. Then evacuation procedure, ensure that they are clearly stated, just like he also said that, okay, there are signposts during the case, okay, where to go to, and there are arrows indicating the direction. Okay, move towards this particular side, or maintain your left, or maintain your right, or don't use the elevator during the course of emergency. Don't do this. Don't ensure it is simple and clearly stated. If possible, using colors have an effect, because you have to, okay, use some signs. People know that, oh, this is a danger zone. Don't go there in case of an emergency. Use signs very well. Can be very red or it can be bold. Just ensure that people can see it, and make sure it is very, very easy and simple for, like we also stated, handing out handbook so that they are also aware. Then the training and drills, yes, very, very important. So as to constant practice so that it becomes a part of them and it becomes natural. It becomes natural during the case of emergencies. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that. That's awesome. So now, uh, to our classwork, this is a two class on the emergency plan. So in a workshop, are we together?
Yes, sir.
There's a fire in the workshop. As the worker who saw the fire, what are you supposed to do? Like, you are the first person that saw the fire. You're not an emergency responder, but you are the one that saw the fire. Like, there's a fire outbreak. You are just seeing the fire coming up. What were you supposed to do? So this speaks to our roles and responsibilities. So we are trying to we are trying to take a character as the worker that saw a fire outbreak. What are you supposed to do?
And the worker is supposed to raise alarm.
I didn't get the question clearly, sir. Sorry.
Okay, as a we are taking character now. Like, you as the worker, you are not an emergency responder, you are not a safety officer, but you just see a fire. What are you supposed to do?
First of all, I'll say I'll raise an alarm, but not in a way to create panic or chaos. Raise an alarm so that everyone will be aware that there is a fire outbreak. Then look for a possible solution to put out the fire before any other thing, to avoid huge damage or a high risk.
Awesome. So we all agree that we are trying to the role of the worker who discover a fire. First thing first is to raise an alarm. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
Awesome. So now you as a supervisor, you as a supervisor, an alarm has been raised, and you are somebody working under you, like your junior colleague, raised an alarm to you that there's a fire outbreak. What are you supposed to do?
Okay. First of all, I will start the evacuation procedure.
So
Then the person
first they'll have to.
assigned. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, please.
Okay. Like I said before, now I said as a supervisor, I will start the evacuation procedure. Then the trained person to fight the fire extinguisher to fight the fire will be assigned to fight the fire while the evacuation procedure continues for people to assemble at the muster point.
Okay. Do we agree with him?
Yes, yeah, stated two things already. So the evacuation and whoever is in charge of the putting out the fire, that's fire extinguisher, will do that. So yeah, we're
Awesome.
going with that.
So the worker who discovers the alarm raise an alarm. The supervisor calls fire service and shut down the power, probably understands the process of shutting down the power system so that it doesn't escalate. Let's say it's an electrical fire, start the evacuation process. So now the fire warden, now everybody has their roles and responsibility. It means that for the worker to have raised an alarm, he has been briefed. That means there's a proper plan. You have been taught, and this worker knows his role. This worker knows his role, and he knows that he's responsible. Like once you know your role, you when there's an issue, you put in what you've been taught, what you understand, what you need to do at that point in time. Not that you just run and leave the fire and go and sit down because you do feel it's not going to affect you or it's just an electrical fire. You raise an alarm and do what you are supposed to do, which is start to start walking down to the muster point where the supervisor or calls the fire service, and the person who is in charge, the fire warden, will start guiding the workers to the emergency exits. The workers themselves, everybody start evacuating to the facility, to the muster point. They start doing it calmly. Everybody will be doing it gently. Everybody will be walking down to the muster point. The safety officer on duty. You can be a safety officer and not be a firefighter. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir. Agreed.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So the safety officer at that point in time takes a roll call, start taking a roll call of everybody on at the muster point. And it is only the safety officer and the fire warden, they work together at that point in time. When everything is clear, that is when everybody can go back to the facility. Now, from what we have described so far, this is our facility, this is our factory that we are talking about now. You can see that we have a proper emergency response plan. So if you put in all these elements, have a clear roles and responsibility, an alarm and communication system, a muster point where they can gather. You have an evacuation procedure. You have emergency kits where even the firefighter comes, they can use to fight. When you train the people and you always conduct drill, everybody will understand what to do. And when there's an emergency, we can mitigate the effect of it. So that is on emergency response plan. So that takes us to our second listing for today, which is on fire. What is fire? What is fire? What do you understand by the term fire?
Fire is hot and can burn.
Are you sure? Fire is hot and it can burn. Fine, nice. Any other person? That's good.
So fire is a chemical reaction which occurs in the presence of three major elements: oxygen, heat, and ignition. Fuel, sorry, oxygen, heat, fuel. Yeah. Thank
Any other person want to try? Thank you for that.
Okay. Adding to what you said, I'll say it's a rapid chemical reaction that involves the oxygen, the heat, and fuel, and it is often characterized as flames, smoke, and also high temperature. Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's a good one from all of you. So before we can have fire, there are three things that must be involved. Are we together?
Yes, we are
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
There are three things that must be involved. Our what the air that we breathe contains different types of gases. We have oxygen, we have nitrogen, and from our elementary science, we understand that oxygen make up 21% of the air, while nitrogen takes up 78%. So before we can have fire, there must be presence of oxygen. What it means is that if you're in a confined space, let me say in a vacuum where there's no air, I'm saying a vacuum now, not just a space, not just a confined space, a vacuum where there's no matter, there's nothing at all, where there's no oxygen. It means that even if you have heat, if you have heat and fuel, there will never be fire because there's no oxygen. For fire to happen, we must have three things. There must be oxygen present. Then there must be fuel. That's that thing. There must be fuel and there must be heat. There must be heat source. Something that serves as heat source before we can have what we call fire. And that means if we need to have those three before we can have fire, what it means is that if we take out one of those three, there will be no fire. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
it is.
If we need to have those three to have fire, it means that when we take off one, there will be no fire. Example, we have a match, the matches. You use matches to light your paper. When you when you light your matches on the paper and there's oxygen, we have fire. So the moment you remove the paper, that thing that is burning or anything that can burn, what happens? The fire will off. The moment you remove either the fuel or the heat or the oxygen, there will be no fire. When there's a fire, if you want to remove oxygen, what do? You use a fire when you put a fire blanket. Let's say you have a fire burning in a plate, then you now use a fire blanket to cover it. What have you done? That fire blanket is so thick that there will be no air ingress, meaning that you have starved that fire of oxygen. So you have taken out oxygen. And we need this triangle that we have here, this fire triangle, this one, to have fire. So it means that by the time we take out oxygen with our blankets, means that the fire will off immediately with the fire blankets. Now we have oxygen, we have fuel, the fire is going up. We now bring water. When we start pouring water on it, well, what are we doing? We are trying to cool that heat. That heat. The moment that heat cools, what happens? The fire will go out because at that point in time we have removed this part of the triangle. That's the heat. Meaning that we have only oxygen and the fuel. And the oxygen and the fuel cannot burn. They cannot burn until there's heat. Excuse me. Are we together?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So now, how do we remove fuel? Now, we've spoken on how we are going to remove heat by pouring water. Now, oxygen by using fire blanket to cover. Excuse me. So, using fire blanket to cover the fire, we've removed oxygen. How do you think we are going to remove fuel?
Cut the supply of fuel.
Cut the supply of fuel. So, can you give me an example of how we are going to cut this? Give an example, a scenario, and how we remove the supply of fuel.
Okay, let's take for example, there is a fuel leakage, a petrol leakage from a pipe, and it's leading to fire. What you do is that you go to the control valve and switch it off so that there will not be supply of petrol to that area again. So it's going to reduce the fire there.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Any other person? Okay, that's fine. So now we have a scenario here. I have a scenario that I want to give us. Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
Are we ready? Edo, Omasa,
Sir.
Joseph. Okay. Where's Victory?
Sir.
Okay. Okay. Um, in a normal afternoon, normal let we use shift. A machine operator, notice a fire, notice smoke coming out. Let me say, if the machine operator notice smoke from the electrical panel. So the panel, are we together? The panel
Yes,
gets
sir.
overheated due to, when the wire, let's say there's a faulty wire and the current passing through that fire and that wire, the current passing through it is so high. What happens? The wire becomes hot, the sound melting. That's when you get to smell, you start smelling burning wire. I'm trying to help. Do you understand that process? When so you start smelling. So the panel overheats due to faulty wiring. So that faulty wire that is overheated, don't forget, note this. You know that's in the fire triangle. What do you think that part of that overheated panel would be? That overheated panel, that wire that we are seeing. What part of the fire triangle do you think that represents?
I think it represents the.
You?
I can't hear you.
I said that overheated.
Your network is not good enough. Victor, you want to say something? Omasa.
Mm, okay.
So sorry, I didn't get the scenario properly, sir.
The
Okay.
wire is more like the.
Okay, let me start again. A machine operator notice smoke coming out from an electrical panel. Yeah? So now I'm asking a question. The panel that is overheated due to faulty wiring, what part of the fire triangle is that panel? That panel that is overheated, that is getting heated up. Now there's no fire yet, but it's getting heated. It's getting heat. It's hot because of the current that is passing through it. What
Uh,
part of the fire triangle is that faulty wiring? That panel is going to be that is overheated. I want to
mm,
comment people who used to say fire triangle, they don't even really understand what that fire triangle is. And I want you to get it. we can just say heat, oxygen, and fuel, but we need to understand people mix heat and fuel. That is why I'm bringing this scenario. So that 40, that
Okay.
overheated 40
Can I
wiring,
answer?
what part of the triangle are we going to call it?
Can I answer, sir?
Please go ahead.
I think it's the heat part.
Okay, so that's the heat, right? That's the
Yes.
ignition source. So we also call the heat ignition source. Okay, so now that's the wire that is heated. The panel that is overheated is very hot. That panel is hot. So now there's not a cardboard. There's a cardboard boxes, the thing that covers it. So what do you think that cardboard will act? What is it acting as in the fire triangle that we have here?
Sir, can I answer too?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Well,
Okay, so that's acting as a fuel.
mm,
And it's not a place where there's no air. So now that cardboard, that this thing is heated up. That cardboard is above it. What happens? That it starts eating up the cardboard, and there's oxygen. What happens?
there'll be fire.
Now we
Fire.
have those exactly. So we now have the three things that makes up fire. We now have the heat, we have the fuel, we have the oxygen. So when the firefighter comes, now we've understood those three concepts. When the firefighter comes and they now pick a CO2, have you heard of CO2 fire extinguisher? Carbon dioxide. CO2 means carbon dioxide.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When they now use a CO2 to fight the fire, what are they doing? A CO2 fire extinguisher. What have they done?
They are trying to reduce the level of
It
oxygen.
is eliminated
Reduce
the
the level of oxygen.
Oxygen. Why? Because the CO2 will excavate the oxygen there. So now
Yeah.
you see that the concept of fire. We have different types of fire extinguisher. When you use a CO2 fire extinguisher, what you are doing is that the concept why they came up together and use a CO and designing what we call a CO2 fire extinguisher is that they understand this concept. So you too you can go out and start studying the fire triangle and bring up a concept to fight fire. They understood that oxygen is needed for fire to occur. It's present. So the CO2, they know that CO2 will take away oxygen. So that is why they now box up CO2 inside the fire extinguisher. That's why we have a CO2 fire extinguisher. And we have another fire extinguisher that is water. So what they also understood is that out of these three part of the fire triangle, they know that they need water. Water will do what? What does water do?
Reduce the
What
heat.
reduce the heat?
So when we say reduce, what it means that it will cool, right?
Yes, sir.
So water cools. So what's a water H2O fire extinguisher does is that it will go for the water and it will go for cooling. It will cool it. So you see that
Okay.
it's just the basic concept of these three fire extinguishers that these three things that makes up a fire that they also use to design a fire extinguisher.
Okay.
Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in the event of this electrical fire that we are explaining now, can you use a water fire extinguisher?
For this particular scenario,
No,
Yes.
no, sir.
No,
it will
Okay.
not be effective.
it
No,
will not.
sir.
Okay. What do you think could have happened?
It
It
will
will
cause electrocution.
cost
You see,
more.
exactly. So this
Yes,
is
gas and stuff.
so
My
we are
hosting
Please
is
let me
always
say
issues
something.
yes, say
because
go ahead.
Okay, I was in a building. I was in a compound. Then
Okay.
immediately they bought lights. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes.
Immediately they bought lights.
was not over up to 5 minutes. We noticed a smoke coming out from a other parts of the building because is
Okay.
a compound, it's a big compound that has different buildings. So we now went there to check it. We noticed that there is a bad socket. It was causing fire, and like it was bad, it tripped, and there was a bed very close to it. So because of that bed, it now caused like the burning now increased. I don't know if the right term I was used. Like the electric shock from the sockets caused a flame, which and now the bed was there, which triggered the fire to come out. Then I noticed the fire extinguisher they bought. It was more like this one now. Will I call it the? It was bringing out that one that you just like you press. It was more of like air gas that was coming out. So that one now is the CO2. They did not use water. They did not use water. But it was so bad. The fire was so bad. Immediately they opened the door, like it was as if the fire wants to move out. But with the fire extinguisher, they were able to turn it off.
Okay. So what do you think happened there?
I noticed they did not use water
Okay.
to turn it off.
So now we are explaining back to our explanation.
Yes.
Now there's that electrical this thing is happening. I'm still using it to answer your question to your scenario too.
Yes, sir.
There's a fire due to electrical source. And because you that you are taking this class, you are taking it as we are learning this thing. We are trying to design a proper fire extinguisher for it. We are trying to design a proper. We understood that over the time, I think probably there have been some scenario whereby there's a fire outbreak and they went ahead and used water they
Yes.
use water, and what happens? People get electrocuted and they die while trying to fight fire. But because we understand the concept of the fire triangle, that if we are looking at taking out the heat in an electrical this thing, it's going to be a lot of issue. So what we target now, we are now targeting oxygen, because to take out it, let's say we are using water, and that is water that we need to take one of the three things in the fire triangle. So the heat, we are using water to remove the heat, and we cannot use water in the advent of an electrical fire because of electrocution. But because we understood that there's also what we can do if we are not using it, we can take out oxygen. And if we take out oxygen, we do the same thing as removing it. All we just need to do is to take out one. And by understanding of chemistry, we understood that CO2 will help us with that. So that means that is why when you have an electrical equipment, you see something, you see the fire, you don't see water fire extinguisher in that area. When they are placing a fire extinguisher, they use a CO2 or dry chemical,
Okay.
all because of the understanding of the concept of the fire triangle. You see why it is so important in life, in everything you do, whatever, one thing you need to understand, one thing you need to look out for is the basic. It is these basics that every other thing comes from, every other thing attached. The basic is the foundation. Because of the understanding of this triangle, they've been able to understand that since there will be electrocution, we can also use another method. And that was how the designing of CO2 come into play. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So let's say there's also oil catch fire. Let's say you are cooking and there's a fire due to the what do you do? Do you pour water?
No.
So what do you do?
Just pour water.
You
Yes.
will use the cover to like you cover it. You have to make the fire off. You cover it
Okay.
with the
When
pot.
you cover, what have you done?
You have
You have stabbed the
Carry.
water.
Exactly. Very good. You see, this is just it. Just these are basic things. that we understood. And Victory, your hands are up.
So in
Your
case
hand.
of fire during like in the kitchen, just a little tip, sha, but I don't know how effective that is though. You
Okay.
can use wet rag, like a thick cloth or a rag in your house that is maybe big enough to accommodate that particular stove. So that wet rag, just wrap it around it. So that's like I just remember something like that. That I've seen something
Wrap
like
it
that.
around it by covering it.
Like covering it, yes, like covering it.
So what have you
Yeah.
done? What
To
are you
start
trying
the
to
process.
achieve? Of the
Like
same
I start
oxygen.
the oxygen. Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Somebody raising his hand.
Sir,
Okay. So, yes.
I've been in a scenario like that too. It was the first time I encountered it. I was so confused, but my mind knew that I cannot put water on the pot because the gas was turned on, the pot was still on top of it, catching fire. But at the same time, I was using oil. At the same time, I was so confused to the point that I knew that I was not supposed to put water, but then I did not add that knowledge. But I was just seeing the fire, but I did not know what to do. I had to call somebody. Immediately, the person came, he just turned off the gas, just put the pot cover, and everything just went off, just like
Okay,
that.
it was the gas that caught fire, right?
No, it was not the gas, so like I
Okay.
was cooking with oil on the
Okay.
on like yes, but the thing I just caught flame immediately, like the pot was burning, but the gas was turned on. At that scenario,
Okay.
I was confused. I did not know what
Okay.
to do.
You
I
have
was
done
just
two
screaming,
things. The person has done two things by
yes,
starving of oxygen and also switching off the gas by also
yes,
reducing. The gas is applying more heat. You're also trying
yes,
to reduce the heat
yes,
to
sir,
it. So that is exactly what has happened. So now,
yes,
when we are fighting fire, I'll take that again. We'll remove it. One of the ways we do, we remove it because it is one of the elements. So when you remove it, that's what we call cooling. That is when you use
cool,
water or water. Then when you remove fuel, let's say, in a plant, okay, there's a scenario online, there's a scenario in a in a process facility whereby the gas, the gas there's a um one of the gas line caught fire and there's a fire outbreak along the line. So what do they do? If you like, you use a normal fire extinguisher cannot work in that scenario. Then you see somebody go ahead and shut the main supply of the gas. The gas has process. Then they shut off the main supply. What have they done? They have removed the fuel.
well,
Yes. So by shutting off that gas valve and removing everything that will cause flame around it, what they have done what we call starvation. You have starved it. That thing that is making him to feel big. Like yes, there's gas. The fire is getting bigger and feeling like okay, yes, I can burn down everywhere. What you have done, you have starved the fire. That's what we call starvation. Is that noted? So removing
yes,
it,
sir.
cooling, removing fuel, removing fuel. I just mentioned it.
Starvation.
Exactly. So now, when you're now removing oxygen, when you use a CO2 fire extinguisher or when you use the fire blanket to cover this thing, what you have done is what we call what? It's what we call smootering. Smootering.
Smooth.
Smootering. When they say what is smootering, when they ask you in the ways to fight fire, you have different ways. One of the things is that we have three things that makes up the fire triangle: heat, fuel, and oxygen. You remove the heat, that's cooling. That's that thing that is heating up. You are cooling it, isn't it? And when you remove
Yes, sir.
oxygen, you have what? You have smoother it. That's smoothing. And when you remove the thing that is burning itself, that thing that is burning, the fuel, that's what we call starvation. If a petrol is burning, if you pour water, it will not work. It will only spread. So instead,
Mm.
what you do, you use a foam fire extinguisher. So what that foam does is like a foam. When you when you just like when you use a duvet to cover yourself, what you have done is that you have tried to prevent that cold from coming in. So when you put a foam on let's say petrol oil, there's a fire on oil somewhere, and there's a foam fire extinguisher. That foam will become a layer on that surface. And once there's a layer on it, what have you done? Once you have created a barrier, what you have done is that you have cut off oxygen from easily penetrating.
Mm.
Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
we
sir.
have fire classes, and we have the hazards that we use the different fire classes for. We have the class A. What are class A fire? They are fire that comes from solids. Okay, Blessing, your hands are up.
Yes, sir. Please, I have a question.
You said?
Please, I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, sir. What of in cases of when there is fire outbreak,
Okay.
some people used to use detergent, foaming detergent. So what are they trying to eliminate in that type of in
Oh,
the fire triangle?
okay. So when you put a foam, what happens? Okay, Blessing, your hand is up.
Yes, that's the question.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay. So I think I can somebody answer that question?
Please, I didn't get the question. Can she go again, please?
Come again.
Okay, okay. My question is when there is fire outbreak, I used to notice that some people use detergent like a foamy water to quench the
Okay,
fire. What are they trying to eliminate in the fire triangle?
okay, okay. I think I was asking if somebody can answer that question before I proceed. Before anybody, okay, Jamil, go ahead. I will also
Hmm?
explain, but let Jamil say. Okay,
Good
Jamil, go
afternoon,
ahead.
sir.
Good afternoon,
Firstly,
sir.
I'm sorry for joining late. So, in the scenario that
Apologies not accepted. Go ahead, sir.
thank you, sir. In the scenario that Blessing just make now, I think they don't just want to use water so as not to support the fire by introducing more oxygen. So the reason why they are pouring soap there, as you have said, is to create that foaming agent. So it's because maybe they don't have a foaming fire extinguisher ready. So and they know that using water to quench that kind of fire will only make it bigger and support the fire. So I think that is why they are pouring soak in that water. And mostly they do that if the fire comes as a result of maybe from petrol or any chemical like that. So I think they
Okay,
used to have it in filling station too, and sometimes they used to have sand too. So I think that is what they are just trying to do, like you have said, trying to create a foamy agent or something to quench the fire, like a foamy fire extinguisher.
okay. Thank you, Jamil. Uh, James, your hand is up. I'm still with you, Blessing. So James, your hand is up.
Okay, just to add to what Jami have said, he elaborated on it, but just to add to what he said in terms of the fire triangle. So what that foaming agent does is to create a layer that oxygen will not be able to penetrate. So it
No.
acts as a form of smothering the fire. So it now extinguish it at once. So that is the part that he didn't add. Just let me add it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, Blessing, do you understand that?
Yes, I understand.
Are you sure, or do you want me to go over it?
Yes, yes, no, it's okay. I understand the concept now.
Okay. So,
Yes,
because I
thank
know
you.
I have explained something like that just now. So I think that shows that we are following. That's fine. So now we have classes of fire. Class A, when we say class A, we are talking about since fire that's let's say that's as a result of solid, let's say wood, when we say paper, when we say clothes, your carton. Another example of class A. uh, Joseph, your hand is up. Joseph.
Okay, sir. Yeah, I was just thinking about everything you were saying. So I have a question. You know,
Okay, sir.
for this things you were saying something about you seeing people adding soap
Sir,
when they are trying to.
I don't
I
know
said
if
I
it's my from my end though. Please, can you
No,
hear
that's not
Joseph very?
true.
Oh,
No.
okay, okay,
can you hear me?
okay. It's
Joseph,
better
it's
now.
not quite audible.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, Joseph, I can hear you now.
Okay. So our question, she was saying something about seeing people adding soap when they are trying to quench a fire. So
Okay,
something came to my knowledge right now. You know, then in school they were teaching us types of water like hard water and soft water. That in case of an hard water, they can't form ladder readily with soap. That foaming agent when the soap is being added to the water, it won't form the foaming agent. That's the ladder when the soap is. Why if it's a soft water, it will form the ladder. So for a scenario whereby they are trying to quench the fire with the soap and they use an hard water, it does not form that ladder. What can they do? Like what would they do next to quench that fire? Do you understand me, sir?
please, I would. Sorry, I will need you to take it one last time.
Okay. Back in school, they taught us that there are two types of water. That's an a hard water and a soft water. For a soft water, it forms ladder readily with soap. That is when you impute soap in it, to form that foaming substance. While for an hard water, it does not form that foaming substance. In the case whereby they are trying to quench a fire and they use an hard water, it does not form the soap. What will they do? And all they know for that instance is adding the soap to the water to quench the fire.
Okay, I think I get you now. I think I get you now. And do you know when we say soap and when we say detergent, they're actually different.
Yes, yes, they are
Huh?
different.
Okay.
They are different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when Blessing mentioned detergent, and one of the things about detergent is that detergent um it forms it foams without water. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
Unlike soap. Soap may
Yeah,
not
like
foam,
so.
yes, but detergent will foam. So in that scenario, when they are using detergent, regardless of the type of water it is, it will foam. And that is why you see that people go first for. That's why you see that the first target is to use a detergent. That's on our own, let's say at home, and they mix a detergent in water and start using it to foam. Even if it's a hard water, it will foam. Is that noted?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So detergent foams. Why with soap, normal soap, because of I think I'm trying to remember the chemistry behind it, but it does not foam. It's not that it will form later. That's with soap. But with detergent will foam. So when you use a detergent, regardless of the type of water, it will foam. So it will foam, and that if that is if that's the kind of water that is present, it's different from a detergent. Is that noted, sir?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir. So when they use a soap, they won't they can manage the scenario, they can manage the situation when they use a detergent, I mean. So a detergent was that's why a detergent is what they use. Even in our local places, they use detergent to make sure that okay, when there's a scenario, a situation whereby there's a fire and they know that when they use water, it will only make it worse. They try to mix it with detergent so that they can form soap, it can foam. So when they pour detergent, it foams, and that foam forms a layer. So it's like a bubble. All those small small bubbles, they will now form a layer. You know, the oxygen outside will not be able to even penetrate what is under the foam. So from there, the amount of oxygen needed for that amount of fire that has been created will be reducing they are reducing the amount of oxygen that gets to penetrate into it, and from there they get to starve it of oxygen, and with that they have taken out one part of the fire triangle. Does that answer your question? Hello? Okay. So we are in classes of fire. I think we've been able to even answer some of these things. Class A fire, we talked about solids. We talk about class B, flammable liquids, like the one we've explained. We use petrol, oil. Class C, we have fire from this fire from gases, from propane, methane. When we say all those gases that burn. Class D, we are talking about metal, magnesium, aluminium. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
It's just like let's say if a sodium metal can cause fire, then you now use water. When you mix water with sodium metal, water with sodium metal or potassium metal, what you will see is explosion. We use it in school very well. During chemical week, we get to mix sodium metal with water so that we'll have this explosive effect. So now imagine that kind of quantity. Let's say a a chemist shop with sodium metal in large quantity. Then there's a fire outbreak. The next thing you are doing, you're going to go ahead and pour water. What you will do next is that you see a proper explosion. You have created an explosive environment. There will be an explosion. So you need to understand the causes of the fire, where those fires come before you just go ahead and say you want to fight fire. That is why people are trained to fight fire. So that you don't in the course of you want to fight an electrical fire and next thing you are carrying a bowl of water to pour water on an electric cable that is burning. What you are just doing is that you are putting yourself at the risk of electrocution. Is that noted? So class E,
Yes.
electrical fire, class F, the cooking oil and fats. So all these fire classes that we have, they all need their different types of fire extinguisher. There's one fire extinguisher that can work for two. There are two that can work for. There is one that can work for two. There's one that can work for three, depending on the causes of the fire. James, your hand is up before I proceed. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to ask a question based on your classification.
Okay.
I just needed more clarification because of the convention. I think the one I'm actually used to, we don't normally include class E. It's as if say the class E is of that electrical fire is not combustible. That is based on the materials also.
Yes.
So so I wanted to get more clarification because I'm seeing that you are using this one. Is it another convention?
Okay. So we'll get to that. I think we'll still talk on the different types of classification, where we have those that use this type and the other type of the classification. So from there we'll explain the different types and why this one is like this. Is that noted?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Okay. So as we were saying, are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Okay.
sir.
So we have already spoken about some of these fire extinguisher. When we use a fire extinguisher that is created with water, a water fire extinguisher, what do you think is happening? A water fire extinguisher is for only class A. Remember when we talked about the class A fire, we talked about solid, wood, paper, clothes. That's when we use the class A fire. That's the water, and most of the time, I not most of the time, the class A fire extinguisher is being labeled with red. It has a red label. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
It has a red label. Why the class is my this thing? Just a moment. Okay, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So the class A fire,
Okay.
the class A fire extinguisher, the water fire extinguisher has a red label. We only use it for what I explained there as what we call wood solid materials. That's wood, paper, and clothes and stuff like that. Cardboard, things like that. That's what you use the class A fire extinguisher for. You don't use it for electrical or oil. So when, let's say, you have a paper storage and those paper storage caught fire, what you do, you use a clear fire extinguisher, the red one. That's the water fire extinguisher. What will happen is that they help you cool the material and the fire will die out like that, by cooling. So the class B, we have the foam fire extinguisher. We use we use I think the color they use is cream. It has a cream label.
Queen.
Cream, yeah, cream label. It's mostly used, you can use it for the class B fire extinguisher. It can work for both class A and class B. So it can work for both, let's go back to our this thing. It can work for the flammable liquids and the same thing as solid because they do the same thing. This one,
Mm-mm.
this one can also help us to remove oxygen. When we use the class B, which is the foam, that we use it on this solid material, what will happen is that it will also help us to stop oxygen from penetrating. So the whole process is to remove oxygen. While the class A normally will only cool, but this one will remove oxygen, and you can also remove oxygen from the class A fire. So that means class B fire extinguisher can work on class A fire. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have the C that I use as dry chemical powder.
Mm.
So that dry chemical powder, what do you think it works on?
Red chemical powder.
The dry powder. What do you think? It has a blue label. It has a blue label. Note the color code. Blue label. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So remember, look at the way class B and the class B, the foam, it can work on class A and B. Now the dry chemical can now work on class A, B, and C. It's majorly for electrical from the from this classification. Majorly for electrical fire, but it can also work on foam. It can also work on class B and class A. So what does it do? Why does it have the power to work on class A and B? Why? Because it is it's what does it do? Dry chemical powder, it will interrupt the chemical reaction. What does it do? How does it interrupt the chemical reaction? Can somebody tell me? How do you think the dry chemical powder works?
Cut off the oxygen. Mm.
Do we agree?
Oxygen is the chemical component as well.
Okay, Jamie, your hand is up.
Mm.
Yes, sir, I will agree with that. The powder we place like a surface, just like we have foam for oil and for chemical. So the powder will place like a surface layer on the electrical fire so that oxygen will not be able to enter. So I think it works the same. So I'll go with children too.
Ah, okay. So dry chemical powder, let me take you to the science behind it. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Most fire extinguisher work by removing one of these triangle that we have mentioned, those three triangles. Most of these fire extinguisher you see, what they do is to remove one of it, isn't it? But for dry
Yes,
chemical
sir.
powder, inside the powder, we usually have what we call monoammonium phosphate or sodium bicarbonate, and it works in two ways. I said monoammonium phosphate or sodium. I'm just taking you to the science behind it, or what we call the sodium bicarbonate. Are you there?
Yes, sir. We are together, sir.
Okay.
Together,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And it works. Okay, it works in two
Yes, sir.
ways. It's smooth. What is smoothing? It's okay. I think I've explained smoothing, cooling, and all of this. When I say it's smoother, as I say it works in two ways. One of it is smoothing. That is, it cut off oxygen because it will form a coating. It will form a coating. It's a chemical. It will be dry, so it will now form like a coating, just like when you paint a rod. That paint forms a coating on that iron rod, isn't it? That chemical powder, when you
Yes.
use it on it, it will now form a coating on that this thing. And when there's a coating, now you are forming it's like a layer. When you are forming a coating, what have you done? There will be no penetration of oxygen the way it's supposed to penetrate. So that's one of the dry chemical powder works in two ways. It's smoother. It will form a coating, it will cut off the oxygen. When it form a coating, it cuts off oxygen. And also because of the chemical I explained, the ammonium phosphate, sodium bicarbonate, they also do one thing called they interrupt the chemical chain reaction. There's a reaction when the three comes together, then there will be those three distinct, then there will be a reaction. It is that reaction that turns to fire. So it interferes in the reaction. It interferes in the chemical reaction itself. Inside inside the flame zone, like inside the flame itself, it will interfere with the chemical reaction of that fire inside the flame. So it's used that two ways. Majorly to smooth out, to stop, to form a layer and prevent oxygen from penetrating deep. Then it now take part in the reaction itself. So it's like a chemical, it takes part in the reaction. So those are the two ways it works. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Mhm. So that's the
Mm.
beautiful thing about dry chemical reaction.
Okay.
Unlike water, which remove only its CO2 that will remove only the oxygen. Dry chemical,
Mm.
it go stop the reaction and it will also partially block the oxygen from coming in. So it can do two things. So that's why dry chemical powder can work on both class A and B and C. And that is why we use it for electrical powder because over time, CO2 is better than water for electrical fires, and dry chemical powder is even better because CO2 sometimes can be wet to some extent. I think some research shows that CO2 can even with time it can there's a way you use CO2 and you can have an electric shock. So it shows that dry
Mm.
chemical powder becomes even better. But CO2 is better than water. You can see it's just like good, better, best. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that explains the this thing for the CO2. So we now have the CO. We've talked about the foam, the water extinguisher, the dry chemical powder, blue label, then CO2, black. CO2. That's why when you see the exhaust of a car, it's always black. That smoke is black, isn't it? So CO2
Yeah.
label car fire extinguisher is black. You use a black label. Yeah. When you say fire extinguisher with black label is CO2. So we use it on class B and electrical fire. So it works on two, class B and electrical fire. So when like an electrical motor is spark, when the electrical motor spark and caught fire, you can use a CO2 fire extinguisher to displace oxygen. The CO2 displaces the oxygen. So the fire will now go out without damaging the equipment. That's why we use CO2 in that scenario. Then we have the wet chemical extinguisher. It has a yellow label. Wet chemical
Mm.
it has yellow label. This is our fat and oil. Okay, blessing. Please, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Okay, sir, please. Sorry to draw you back. The water extinguisher,
No, no
which label does
problem.
it have?
Red.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So when the wet chemical, it uses yellow label. We use it for cooking. That is what we have in our cooking oil to fight for cooking oil fire. When you fry, when your what you are frying catches fire, because if you pour water, water will explode.
Mm.
So that wet chemical powder will react with oil. It will now form something like a soapy foam. Are you still raising your hand there, Blessing? Okay. It will now form like a soapy foam. So, and we know what happens when something forms a foam. It smooths. It will remove oxygen. So these are the base, these are the engineering, these are the design, these are the things they think that helps them to come up with something that we use to fight fire.
Okay.
And everything, if you look at everything, everything boils down to the basis that we use. The basis, which is the three things that create fire. It is from when we understand the chemistry of fire that we now come up with what we can now use to um to fight the fire.
Mm.
Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Have you noted the colors too?
Yes.
Okay. Ah, and
Mm. Mm.
so what do you do when there's a fire outbreak? How do you use a fire extinguisher? Can somebody put us through? How do you use a fire extinguisher? Very fast.
We use the
That's
fire extinguisher with the acronym PASS,
okay.
where P stands for you pull the pin of the fire extinguisher. A
Okay.
stands for you aim at the base of the fire extinguisher. S stands for squeeze the lever. Then the last S stands for you sweep from side to side of the fire.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jamie, you raised your hand before.
We already said it the past because
Okay.
but the last one that I want to add is just for you to get shoot for a moment. So if the power is now for my to if you need the fire, so you just a little blind to check that.
Okay.
I have a question though.
Okay. So let me
Can
answer this guy's question. Just a moment.
okay.
So just a moment, just a moment. So we have different classifications. I didn't plan to go because this class is already taking over 2 hours, but I think we are all you guys are really engaging me. So fire extinguisher are marked according to the type of fire they can fight, which I've explained. We have the different types of fire, the class A, solid, B, C, D, E, and F. So I'll call it FK, F or K. And that's for the last one. That is the class F or class K for kitchen fire. Hmm? So that is a British European standard. And that's the one that Nebosh always reference. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So for the US standard, according to the national what's it called? NFPA, National Fire Protection Association of US standard. Are we together? Fire extinguisher are labeled with class. We have A, B, C, D, and K. The other one we have A, B, C, D, E, F, E, F, E, F, K. That's F slash K, F or K. That's for British. Why for the US we have the A, B, C, D, K. A, B, C, D, K. So that means
Okay.
for the US, we don't have the E, that's the electrical fire. The electrical fire extinguisher, according that was what this guy was talking about. But you know, in Nigeria, most of the things we use the UK standard. We use UK.
Mm.
Yeah, most of our things, the fuels, many of the things we use because you know we were colonized by them. So that's why many of our things are in line with them. Is that noted?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So for the US, we have the ABCDK. ABCD, there's no E, that's the electrical that we are talking about. So when we have the ABC extinguisher, we always call them multipurpose. So we use them for both. There's a fire extinguisher that we call that they will write ABC on the body, ABC extinguisher. So it's a multi-purpose. Just know that you can use it for both solid, liquid, and gas. Any fire of that this thing. Is that noted? Why for ISO 7165 and ISO 1100 and 11602. They also use the ABCDF, no E. So that's what ISO also use when they're in their own this thing, ABCDF. So those are classified this thing. That was why I want us to understand the basic before we don't need to like go deep that we are now going into all of this standards. I want us to understand the basic, the principle, and how those fire extinguishers are, how they originate, and what was the thought process of the people that created them. What they were like me and you, the same way they use those three classes and those three things that make fire. That was how they come up with what we have today as our fire extinguishers, and that is what they are still using till tomorrow. That's what they will still use to tomorrow if there's something new coming up. It is based on the understanding of this basic. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I think that brings us to the end of today's class. So, or is there we understood the way to fight fire now, which is the pass. Pull the pin, use the fire extinguisher, pull the pin, aim at the base. Nobody's saying anything.
Sir, say something. Oh,
Huh?
I've not used the fire extinguisher before,
Okay.
and
Did you get
this is
how
my
they
first.
explained you? Okay.
The only
So
thing I
let's do
just
it.
heard is that.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So to use a fire extinguisher, we pull the pin. Have you seen a fire
Okay.
extinguisher before? Okay.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
do it this way. Let's do it this way. Just a moment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Our class is always expanding to 2 hours. You guys will not let me go on time.
Yeah, sorry, sir.
Oh, sorry, K.
Apologies, sir.
There's no need for apology as long as you guys are still my target is that I just hope once you guys are flowing, I'll give you my time. Okay, pass. Let me see if I can get a video so that you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear? Can you? Is it audible?
No, I
Is
can't
it
hear you.
Yeah, it's is it the video clip you're showing us?
How about the clip? Is it audible now? Is it audible now?
No, I can't
Is
hear.
it audible
No,
now?
No,
Huh?
no, sir.
It's not
No,
audible
sir.
too. Okay.
No.
Not
Okay. Okay. That means I will so okay. Step one. Make sure the fire extinguisher you have is the correct fire extinguisher you want to use. That's we've already explained the different type of fire extinguisher. Plus, you see, as A for normal combustible, the wood and paper, like we've explained. Okay, just like we have explained. Type A, use it on wood and paper. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Type A, you use it on wood and paper. Type B. So before you go ahead to pick a fire extinguisher, before you kill yourself because you want to fight fire, that was why it is very, very important that I had to take you guys very well on understanding those different how fire and the fire extinguisher, all of those things, very important. So now you understand them, you now know the different color code. You have picked a fire extinguisher. You see that okay, it's the paper that is burning, or it's the electrical this thing that is burning. It's an electrical panel that is burning. You don't go ahead and go and carry water fire extinguisher so that you will not kill yourself by electrocution. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Ehen. So
Sir.
that's the first thing. Understand
Yes,
the one
sir.
you want to use. So class K, all the different classes of fire extinguisher. So if you feel you cannot use fire extinguisher, don't go ahead and say you still want to now because you've known the different type of fire extinguisher. If you know you can still, you don't have that mind, you cannot use a fire extinguisher, just evacuate. Don't just go ahead that you want to start fighting fire that is even beyond fire extinguisher. Some fire, there are some fire that's gotten so bad that a fire extinguisher cannot even do anything at that point in time. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Eh,
Yes, sir.
So so now that you have the mind to fight fire, we have the what we call the acronym called PASS. So this is a fire extinguisher. The PASS is PASS. You see the pin, this pin that this man is removing. Can you see it? This
Yes,
pin.
sir.
Yes, sir.
uh So the pin is there so that anybody cannot just when you just press when you want to carry the fire extinguisher, your hand can press this place mistakenly. Before you know, you have discharged the content of the fire extinguisher. Maybe there's no fire, you just want to change the location. So they put this pin to safely keep this thing so that when you are moving it or you are working with it, you don't go and mistakenly press it. Is that noted? That's why this
Yes.
pin is there. So the first thing you do when you see a fire extinguisher, you pull the pin, you remove it. You want to fight fire. That's the first P of the PASS. Pull the pin, pass. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Then when you have pulled the pin, you carry the fire. You've carried the fire extinguisher. If it's the one that is that is let's say 5 kg fire extinguisher or 3 kg fire extinguisher that you can carry. There are ones that you cannot carry 50 kg, 25 kg. What you do is that you move it closer. You remove the pin. Now that you have removed the pin, this the mouth of the fire extinguisher, the nozzle, you use it. You know you've seen the fire. You now aim that nozzle to where the fire is. Is that noted? That
Yes,
nozzle,
sir.
you aim it to where the fire is. You aim it. You are not there yet, or you are not pressing it. You have pulled the pin, you have removed the pin. Now you have aimed the nozzle, not the one that the nozzle will be facing your face. That if you mistakenly press it, what you do is that you bath yourself. You now instead of fighting fire, you are fighting yourself. Is that noted? So the
Yes,
next thing
sir.
you do is aim. Make sure you are not aiming your face. You are not aiming another thing. Aim where the fire is. And make sure that when you have carried the fire extinguisher, before you start using the fire, you make sure that you are backing where you are going to use the exit. Not that you now go. Let's say this guy is here. You can see my arrow, right? This guy is here. Let's say this guy is now standing this here, and by the back of this place is a wall. After fighting, after aiming at this thing, if this thing explode, is there a place that we want to? No, because this place is a wall.
Yes.
So you make sure that it stays in a place where it can move outside in case the thing escalates. You get what I'm saying? Where he can
Yes.
escape, when he can prevent himself from dying, if the thing wants to escalate. So first thing first, your safety, you put all these things into consideration. Eh? So you aim at the base. You aim at the base of the fire, where the fire is coming from, gong gong, where the fire is coming from. So the next thing in pass is PAS. So now we are in the first S, squeeze. You see this place that you have carried the fire extinguisher. This is the S. This is where you are squeezing. So you squeeze this place, you press it down. When you press it down, when you press this place down, this place that is on this, you press it down. Then from that nozzle, when you press it down, you see the fire extinguisher, the content of the fire extinguisher will come like this from this fire extinguisher. When you press this one down, it will come and will go straight into the nozzle. But you know that you have aimed the nozzle at the base of the fire. So as you press it down, what will come outside? The extinguishing content will come outside of the fire extinguisher direct like this to the place that you have aimed. So you squeeze it. When you squeeze it, it will come outside. So when you squeeze this lever, what happens? The extinguishing content will come outside to the place that you have aimed. The moment you squeeze it, if you remove your hand, the content will stop coming out. When you squeeze it again, it will come out. That means when you hold it down, the thing will be coming out until you remove your hand. Is that noted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the last S, so sweep. So sweep means that as you are putting it, you have aimed, you have squeezed it, it's coming out. So you are putting it all around from the at the bottom into the base of the fire where the fire is coming out. You will now be sweeping it like you are splashing. So you are moving this thing to the whole direction where the fire is at the base. You are now sweeping. That's what we call sweep. You'll be sweeping it. Now watch the way he's sweeping. You see, you can see he's moving his hand. You can see he's moving his hand, moving it, sweeping it, sweeping it. That is sweep. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So that is sweep. That's the acronym. That's the fire extinguisher. So we recap. You pull the pin, you aim at the base here, you squeeze and you sweep. You pull the pin, you aim at the base, you squeeze for it to come outside and you sweep. Is that noted?
Yes,
So
sir.
Yes, sir.
that is the way we fight fire. Thank you very much. No assignment today. I wanted to give you assignment, but no assignment today. Or you want me to give you assignment?
No, sir. Thank you,
Ah,
sir.
I will give you assignment.
Sir, before you go,
Assignments.
sir, please, I have
Thank
a
you.
question. Please, sir. Before I forget.
Okay.
Uh,
Assignments.
Sir, wait, before the assignment part. Hello,
Okay.
sir.
Hello.
Yeah. Sir, Stone, I've seen
Ma,
it on most
come
cases.
again.
Some
Oh, I
people
didn't
a
hear
fire
what you said.
outbreak.
There was a
I used to see
break.
that they'll put like okay. I said I've seen it in some scenarios. Like during a
Okay.
fire outbreak, in
Okay.
most cases, like in some buildings, like some people I used to see that they will pour water in their body. Maybe the building is burning now, they want to get inside to move some things. They will pour water in their body and they will enter inside the building with like catching fire. So I want to know like what's the essence of that water that are pouring in their body?
It's just cooling. Oh, they are trying to cool
Uh,
themselves. Oh. Put water on their so that their clothes will not catch fire easily. You know, a
mm,
wet clothes now, when you put something wet inside fire, just like wet firewood, dry firewood will catch fire very well. So your clothes is so wet that it will not catch fire. But though it will be heat, it will still be hot, but it will not easily catch fire. I don't know if you get it.
yes,
Like you put a wet cloth inside fire, you will light a candle, you now put wet clothes, a cloth that you've soaked inside water, you now put it on the candle, it will not catch fire until when
mm,
the but it will be hot. When you hold it, it will still be hot, isn't it? But it will
yes,
not
sir.
catch fire like that until when it's dry off. When it dry off, it will not catch fire. So that's what they are trying to do. And
Oh,
one of the things that people do, one of the things that kill people is not really the fire sometimes. Sometimes it's the smoke. When there's a fire
okay.
outbreak in a room, you see somebody, there's so many smoke, and they inhale so much smoke that they die before the fire now catch up with them where they are, that they cannot move again. When you take in so much smoke, you become so weak because that smoke now, that CO2 that is coming out in that room. Remember, CO2 used to remove oxygen. Now imagine you taking in so much CO2, all the oxygen in your blood. You get what's happening now. So you will start getting weak because the level of oxygen in your body. Then next thing you start feeling dizzy and the person will fall down. The fire has not even caught up with the person until the whole building will now burn and start burning the person. That person got weak in the first place due to so many smoke that they have inhaled. That's why you see one of the things that people do when there's fire outbreak, when they are trying to move, they carry an handkerchief or something like a cloth. They soak it in water, tie it on their face so that the smoke doesn't pass through it, so that they can just get more time. You get, and when firefighters too, they cover their face, put in oxygen on this thing because that smoke can prevent a lot of oxygen. You get, so these are things that people do. So this is the assignment for today. Very important.
Hey.
Create a simple emergency response plan for your school or home or your workplace. I need your emergency response plan. So inside that, your emergency response plan, we've broken down fire so much, and I'm not sure I've taught fire this deep, but we've been able to we'll break it down. I think you guys understand. If you can go through it again, fire is it's not a big deal. It is about the basics. Firefighting techniques, everything comes from the basic. So this is our assignment. Create a simple emergency response plan for your school, your home, or workplace, any of them. Make sure in that plan you have a muster point, you have an evacuation route, fire extinguisher locations. Just write something. You know all this assignment that you are doing now, these are what you when you become a manager, you are managing the safety of all these things. You have already done all these things. You have created a template for all these things. This is what managers do. This is what managers, everything we've been doing. You are not just getting, you are not just learning, you are getting it deep, understanding it to the basic. Because as a manager, you must. This is what makes you don't have a response plan, you don't know how to draft it. You now have to call somebody, you now have to go out to outsource them to start doing all these things for you. You should know it. Now that you by yourself, you will learn a lot. You will learn your time taking doing research, you will learn a lot. So that is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Uh Victory, let's take a snapshot. I'm
Thank you,
seeing
sir.
everybody in class, oh, and I know the people that are not in class that are just in class, but they are not in class. Okay, so any question? Any question?
Not for sir.
Okay, so that's it. So we can call it a day. Spent 2.5 hours. Wow.
Oh,
I said I should just
thank
come and
you, sir.
spend 1 hour. I just said I should come and spend 1 hour, but I don't know when we come to class like this, we have to start going deep and deep and deep and deep
Thank you, sir.
So no
Thank
problem
you,
now.
thank you,
So
sir.
we see next week and do have a wonderful
Thank you,
day.
sir.
I'm happy you guys. Do you guys understand session now?
Yes,
Do you get it?
I understood.
Okay.
I get
That's
it very well. Thank you so much.
okay.
Thank
You're
you, sir.
welcome. You're welcome, bosses. Good night.
Good
Good
night,
night,
sir.
sir.
Okay, good night, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Victory. Joseph, please can you stop the
Yeah.
recording and end the call?